Are you ready to harvest Anubias? If so, you've come to the right place. In this video, I'll show you exactly how I've been harvesting hundreds of Anubias at home. This is part 4 of my Anubias Heterophylla propagation series, where I'm sharing 5 years of experience growing and propagating Anubias. And today, I'm revealing how many plants have been harvested so far from a project that started back in June of 2025. My goal is simple: to show you what's possible and hopefully inspire you to do the same at home. If you've missed the first few videos where I go into detail on my propagation method, you can click here to start from the beginning. Otherwise, I'll give you a quick recap. In June 2025, I propagated my Anubias using rhizome divisions, starting with 274 rhizomes. After just 2 months, by August 2025, I was left with 189 rhizomes along with many new plantlets, and I was able to harvest 29 plantlets at that time. On November 17, 2025, I decided the Anubias were ready for a second harvest. When comparing the rhizomes, this is how they looked on August 23, 2025 versus November 17, 2025. As you can see, there was significant growth which prompted me to move the plantlets into the next phase. In November 18, 2025, I removed all the rhizomes from the soil and soaked them in water to make it easier to remove the remaining substrate. Once everything was cleaned, I counted 155 remaining rhizomes. While I did lose 34 rhizomes, from my experience, this is completely normal. I believe each rhizome has a limited amount of energy and can only support a certain number of new shoots before it declines. The following day, I carefully inspected each rhizome and plantlet to decide what was ready to harvest. My criteria are simple: at least one large leaf, at least one well-developed root, a root length close to 2 centimeters, which greatly improves survival when separated. I separate each plantlet where the new rhizome meets the old, placing harvest-ready plantlets into one pile and setting aside the smaller ones that need more time. In this example, this plant has 3 large leaves and about 2 or 3 large roots, so it's a perfect example of a plant that's ready to be harvested. This rhizome has 2 plants, and one of them has a root that's about 1 centimeter long, which is a little bit outside of my criteria, but I feel it's ready to be harvested. This example here, we have a small little plantlet that's fallen off a rhizome, so I'll put that in my pile to be planted. Also on this piece of rhizome, there are 2 plants. One of them is ready, the one on the right. You can see the root is about a little bit over 1 centimeter long, whereas the other one doesn't have a root yet, so I'll let that develop with time. This example, no roots whatsoever, just the leaves, so that'll need more time. So generally speaking, the leaves come first and then the root will come shortly after. Like in this example here, we have quite a few new shoots. However, the roots have not developed yet, except for one plant. So I'll harvest that one plant and let the other 3 develop in due time. For the next one, we see the rhizome is actually quite yellow, so that most likely is going to die shortly. So I'll go ahead and cut the plantlet off and plant that in my sponge setup. The two next pieces of rhizome, there hasn't been enough growth in terms of the roots, so those will need a little bit more time to develop. So basically, I go through the remaining 100 and some rhizomes, and I will harvest which plants I believe are ready to be harvested. By the end of this harvest, I added 122 new Anubias plantlets to my farm. At $6 to $8 per plant, that's roughly $700 to $900 worth of Anubias from this single harvest. I then replanted the 155 remaining rhizomes back into moist soil. As for the 122 harvested plantlets, I plant them based on size, 4 to 5 plantlets per sponge for larger ones, up to 7 to 8 per sponge if they're very small. This is what all 122 plantlets look like in their new home. June 2025 started with 311 plants and 274 rhizome divisions. August 2025 harvested 29 plants with 189 rhizomes remaining. Mid-November 2025 harvested 122 plantlets while losing 34 rhizomes. February 2026, the remaining 155 rhizomes are growing slowly, but I've made one key change. I moved the light significantly closer. We'll see if this speeds up the plantlet growth. So that's exactly how I harvest new Anubias plantlets. You can take what you've learned in this video and start your own Anubias farm. And if you want more Anubias content, make sure to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming up next. Up next, my Anubias Barteri 2025-2026 revamp, my 1000 Anubias Nana farm, and an update on my Nana Petite farm. Stay tuned and I'll see you in the next video.